In 2024, global tourism is projected to recover to its pre-pandemic level. Hong Kong is also enjoying this swift rebound. You may have noticed the rapid technological advancements brought about by the pandemic. In this context, an ethos of sustainability remains a global imperative. How might we harness the power of technological innovation to pave the way towards a more sustainable future? At the Hong Kong International Travel Expo 2024, industry leaders will share their endeavors for sustainable tourism. The keynote speaker, Dr. Richard Hran Kai from Hong Kong Metropolitan University, will kick off the forum by sharing his research findings and insights.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this session, which focuses on sustainable tourism as well as the integration of technology. In this short talk, I would like to discuss what's happening in tourism and travel in 2024 so far, what might be the outlook, and how we can think about and how we can leverage the travel and tourism for the future, as well as how we provide a framework, how we can think about development for the tourism at the destination level. As far as 2024 is concerned, it is expected to be a very successful year for the travel and tourism industry. So far, and it is expected that the pre-pandemic level in terms of tourist arrivals will be achieved by the end of this year. Based on the consumer spending, for example, based on MasterCard data, we can see that travelers spend a lot on traveling. This once again means that the travel in 2024 is rebounding to the pre-pandemic levels. Moving on, not only that consumers spend on traveling, but they also extend their stay at their destinations. So globally, travelers extend their stay with an average of 1 day. Globally, this is true for the Asia-Pacific region as well, but as we can see, for example, Europe or the Middle East, the extension of the average length of stay can be larger, 2 or even 4 days as well, 3 days as well. These two information tells us that once again, 2024 is going to be a record-breaking year for the travel and tourism industries. What happens in the Asia-Pacific region? The trend is very similar. So travel is very popular. Consumers in the Asia-Pacific region would like to travel. They have the desire to travel, and they are willing to spend on traveling. Destinations in the Asia-Pacific region have always been very popular and have remained also very popular in 2024, with more than half of the destinations to be on the top 10 popular destinations globally. Japan has been always very popular within the region. However, this year, potentially due to the weaker yen and the favorable exchange rate against other currencies, Japan appeared to be a very top destination, even globally. Intra-regional travels, also quite important. For example, significant intra-travel destinations include Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, or Perth. Thailand have always been very strong in attracting travelers from the region. That remains to be the same also in this year. What is happening in Hong Kong? So Hong Kong is characterized by a gradual growth. With the full opening in last year, January, there was a gradual growth last year. So Hong Kong had to reconnect with the markets, first and foremost. And so By the end of the year, last year, about 34 million travelers came and traveled to Hong Kong. This will increase this year. That we can already see from the data from the first quarter. The first quarter is about 1.5 times higher than the first quarter in 2023, and there has been a 5% increase in the first quarter in this year compared to the last quarter of last year. This once again indicates that Hong Kong is on a path for a continued growth when it comes to tourist arrivals. Tourism has always been a strong contributor to the economy when it comes to contribution to GDP, also when it comes to job creation. When it comes to GDP contribution, it is expected that this year the contribution is about 10% globally. Such a developed economy like Hong Kong, this number ranges somewhere to 2 to 5%. When it comes to job creation and contributing to jobs, jobs in tourism usually accounts for 10% to the global jobs. This once again indicates that tourism as a whole is a very significant and important sector which contributes to the economy. Even though tourism is quite important for the economy, however, there are some serious risks and challenges that happen throughout the world. Recent years, we have experienced a very serious pandemic crisis. We are also facing, even nowadays, a geopolitical crisis. Also, sometimes, time to time, we have economic crisis, right? So all these factors contribute, all these risks and challenges contribute the performance of our industry. However, these risks can be seen from two perspectives. How the risks influence the industry, or how our industry contributes to the risk. So there are two ways to look at the risk. The World Economic Forum mapped the different kinds of risks on a long-term and short-term. Let's look at these. When it comes to the short-term, on a 2-year time period, economic risks usually that has been characterized with inflation rate, also, for example, economic stability. The other aspect, which is the risk on the society. Here we can consider, for example, unintended migration, unemployment rates, and also inequity within the society. Next, also as a short-term crisis, short-term risk, is the impact of technology. When it comes to the short-term, a quite important risk that has been mentioned by the report is that the misinformation and disinformation, as well as the cybersecurity. On the long term, technology also poses some threats, some challenges. These are, for example, the advancement of the technology and what will be the outcome of this very fast development of the technology, for example, the artificial intelligence. The environmental crisis, environmental challenges pose the most significant risk and challenges. As you can see on the chart, the loss of the biodiversity, the strain of the natural resources, as well as the quite frequently happening severe weather condition can equally contribute to the long-term economic challenges, long-term environmental challenges and risks. So once again, the question becomes what we as an industry can do to develop our industry so that we can adapt and we can mitigate those risks. Therefore, we can be more resilient. We can be more sustainable. So the tourism industry has been characterized, has been oftentimes critiqued that itself contributes a lot, contributes substantially to the environmental crisis by, for example, the greenhouse gas emissions. This is a valid sort of critique. However, of course, not only, for example, the air travel contributes to the greenhouse gas emissions. There are other levels of greenhouse gas emissions that are considered as Scope 2 and Scope 3 emissions. Those are indirect emissions. that usually come, for example, from service providers, such as, for example, the food waste. So food waste also generates a lot of emissions. Therefore, not only the airlines or the air travel industry should be scrutinized by emissions. However, other aspects, other areas of the supply chain can also be considered as an active contributor to the greenhouse gas emissions. So what can be done for the airline industry? For example, a more sustainable aviation fuel could be considered. When it comes to, again, extending the indirect emissions, a more comprehensive regulation could be, for example, considered. So regulating or considering a more transparent information sharing, for example, climate reporting, whereby certain parties, companies would be responsible for their climate reporting or their emissions. That could be one way to go. However, not only the industry is the one that should change. Consumers, travelers should also consider revising their behavior. So even though among travelers, the idea of being environmentally friendly, being sustainable is a very noble, very good idea. They would like to do so. However, it seems that there is a difference when it comes to being environmentally friendly when an individual is a tourist at a foreign destination and when the same individual lives his daily life. So it seems that an individual, when it's a tourist, might be less environmentally friendly. So there is this discrepancy between the behavior of individuals. Therefore, it raises a question, right? How could we motivate consumers to behave more environmentally friendly, more sustainable when they travel? So certain products, for example, services, experiences could be provided to the customers, which motivate them, encourage them to change their behavior. Technology also, as mentioned, also poses some threats, short-term as well as long-term. Therefore, technology is thought to be the most significant enablers of sustainable development at the destinations, especially when this smart technology, smart destination will be the norm. Smart destination with increased connectivity. Therefore, adopting technologies is that can lead to the sustainable development. Companies, organizations already use these platforms whereby they collect information from their customers. For example, from online bookings, there is a mobile app that records certain preferences and behaviors of the customers. So this information that companies collect from their customers could be used to profile, again, the customer base, and this profile should tell a story to the companies what their customers are like and what they don't like, how they behave. Therefore, this information could be used to develop, for example, products, services, also develop strategies, thereby again moving towards a more sustainable development at the product level that is offered to the customers. Even though, again, the technology adoption is the way to go, however, the adoption can only happen step by step in a very safely and, let's say, responsible way. If a destination would like to know how they can mitigate the risks at the destination level, they could look at the framework which is prepared by the World Economic Forum. So this is called Travel and Tourism Destination Index. This considers 5 pillars. These pillars include the environment, also the infrastructure and the service levels, as well as the resources. I simply would like to emphasize today's 2 aspects. First one is sustainability. So sustainability is the one major dimension that is considered as in the development framework, which means that if a destination would like to improve the travel and tourism at the destination level or country level, they have to consider sustainability. That's one. As well as the other aspect under the first enabling environment, the adoption of the technology, also a significant factor. Therefore, today's topic, the integration of sustainability as well as technology, plays an important role. How successful a destination can be, how sustainable a destination on the long term can be. Just to wrap up, as a last thought, 2024 is going to be a record-breaking year for the travel and tourism industry in terms of arrivals, tourist arrivals throughout the world at different destinations. However, we should consider the way moving forward, how we consider using, for example, technology, how we adopt technology for us to become sustainable. And we also need to consider, as a destination, how we can contribute, how we can leverage our industry to adopt to the changing world, and how we can use these tools in order to decrease the impact and thereby moving forward to a more sustainable future. Thank you very much.
Next, Ms. Melanie Kwok, Assistant General Manager of Sustainability from Sino Group, will share insights on a range of sustainable development initiatives.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So I'm the head of sustainability at Sino Group. Sino Group, as you know, that we are one of the 5th top developer in Hong Kong. We have been in the community for 52 years. And also, most importantly, that we do run a lot of hotels, being some of the hotels you guys will actually know. Some of them in Hong Kong Island, very famous one, the Fullerton Ocean Park Hotel, which is very nearby as well. So as a developer, having so many hotels and very major role in tourism, we believe that when we build a building, we're not just building a building, but we are also building a sustainable community. And that has been in our mind for many years. We don't just have hotels in Hong Kong, we also have heritage hotels in Fullerton, Singapore, and also Fullerton, Sydney. Well, sustainability, just now like the keynote speakers mentioned, is a wide spectrum. So as a developer, we need to think about how we can strategize our sustainability journey. So we look into 3 pillars: green living, innovative design, and community spirit, and to span across our operations. As a listed company, ESG ratings is actually one thing that is very important these days because there's a word called greenwashing. So we have to be very careful that we cannot just say, oh, we planted plants and we are so green. So how do we know that we're not greenwashing? ESG ratings as a third-party verifier is very important. So very pleased to share with you that as of today, Sinoland actually achieved quite a lot of great records in our ESG ratings, and these prove that we are not greenwashing, but also in a humble manner, trying to improve our ESG ratings. I want to give you 2 key case studies of how we can integrate technology to promote sustainable tourism. As we have mentioned that I have a hotel in the Fullerton Ocean Park, which is actually collaborate with the Ocean Park itself. Ocean Park is also a very famous destination in Hong Kong, promoting education and conservation. So when we first joined hands with Ocean Park to come up with a very unique technology versus sustainable tourism project, we have this idea, which is just now we've mentioned about biodiversity. Hong Kong is a small city, but it is very rich in biodiversity. So what we did is that we are the first cross-sector collaboration in Hong Kong in a coral restoration project. We work with the Hong Kong University startup called RQ Reef, but we also work with the Ocean Park. We have a lab which also helps to nurture local coral species. We use technology as well, and we receive a lot of great publicity in this area. So, very quick video to share with you guys how this project is done.
The ocean is key to keeping our planet healthy. We all rely on healthy oceans to regulate our climate, providing food and oxygen. The ocean has limited resources. Human actions can have a negative impact on marine diversity and ecological balance. So we must live in harmony with the ocean. Corals are under global threat.
We have pollution, we have habitat destruction and overfishing. These stressors combined have led to widespread losses of coral communities.
Worldwide, there are thousands of species of coral. In Hong Kong, there are only about 84 reef-building species. Now with Ocean Park, we have over 30 years of caring for marine life, including coral. We are very proud to say that the park is collaborating with the Sino Group as well as ArchiReef in developing a new conservation program. In this project, we'll be outplanting rescue coral into the local seabeds.
Using our patented 3D printed reef tiles. Our reef tiles are made out of terracotta clay, a highly biocompatible material that corals love to grow on. And using these tiles, we will create a foundation for a new coral reef.
We are delighted to connect the strength of Ocean Park and ArchiReef in Hong Kong's first joint collaborative coral restoration project to restore the coral reef habitat in Hong Kong and to help enrich marine biodiversity. We are also committed to promoting marine conservation awareness through the education and community engagement programs throughout this project.
We hope over the next 3 years will grow into an attraction for all Hong Kongers to enjoy.
We are excited to invite 100 primary and secondary students to participate in promoting coral conservation by designing game booths for visitors to enjoy. 10 students demonstrating outstanding performance were selected to become the Star Coral Ambassador. The Star Coral Ambassadors have engaged in a variety of diverse and exciting activities to continue to learn about coral conservation in depth. The project reached a significant milestone with the opening of the Coral Restoration Centre at Ocean Park, a facility dedicated to rehabilitating rescued coral fragments. The centre offers guided tours, interactive STEAM experiments and a diverse range of educational activities for the public to engage in as part of our ongoing commitment to coral conservation and restoration. To know more about coral reef restoration, please visit the website. Please support Ocean Park Conservation Foundation Hong Kong for its coral restoration work.
So basically, this is one of the examples of why, as a developer, we also can invest on startup and also helps to build coral reefs in Hong Kong. Next project, very quickly, the last case studies. Cultural tourism is also very important in Hong Kong. So we do have another hotel, actually at Lantau. It is called Tai O Heritage Hotel. Very famous hotel in Hong Kong that promotes cultural tourism and heritage, and the first hotel in Hong Kong that won UNESCO award.
The primary objectives of the Hong Kong Heritage Conservation Foundation are to conserve historic buildings and cultural heritage. In the past 10 years, we have been working hand in hand with the Tai O community to preserve its stories. For years, Tai O has retained its unique charm as a fishing village. To encourage more people to learn about Tai O, we work to preserve Tai O's traditions and, in doing so, preserve the villagers' collective memories. Beyond revitalizing the old Tai O police station, we are also helping to rejuvenate Tai O as a neighborhood. Together, let us collect and preserve the many stories that make up our legacy, passing them on to the generations to come.
So being the first hotel in Hong Kong that won UNESCO, this building is over 120 years old. We use a lot of technology to help upkeep the building itself, making it one of the very famous destinations in Hong Kong and Lantau as well. So you saw some of the programs that we are doing. And art is also very interesting. So we work with the local artists to also help build Tai O as a place that also promotes art and culture as well. And we celebrate traditionals. Just last week, we actually sponsored them with the parade, which is very important. But last but not least as well, like the university is doing right now, we're nurturing hospitality young leaders. So during pandemic, we actually run this program called the Hospitality Young Leaders, and we recruit a lot of young leaders from all over Hong Kong and also Greater Bay China as well to nurture them, to promote cultural tourism together with us. And very lastly, still house very important cultural assets. So we work with the Thai local villages to help upkeep the building itself so that these cultural assets can also be a legacy for Hong Kong and for many years to come. I think because of the time, we'll just quickly take a final video, and that's it from my side.
行嚟坐啊，唞涼啊，嗰晚頭喺個出邊食飯啊，好舒服。
檢查幾年咯，90歲啊。原先咧我有酸啊有甩啊喺度住嘅，搬咗去第四住，難咗好耐咯，啲飯唔吞啊。梗係好好多啦，行唔使驚人跌啊！
鬧嗰啲人咧真係好幫助啊，又好人情嘅。
呢啲地方咧個個都好熱心，有咩困難啊，大家都走嚟幫手啊。
就我既係一個大澳人啦，亦都係一個大澳酒店嘅職員嚟嘅。大澳裏邊吸引到我嘅地方啦，就係佢哋諗同一樣嘢，就點樣令到大澳呢樣地方係好嘅。
間屋係家家戶戶會生活，嗰啲居民其實係好有人情味，佢哋又可以聯繫埋一齊，好似一個大家庭。
呢個計劃會繼續落去，我哋希望透過呢個計劃同公眾人士宣揚咧，可持續發展旅遊咧係絕對可行嘅。我哋都有責任咧，一齊去好好保育大澳嗰種喺香港嚟講好獨一無二嘅人情味。
In the next talk, Mr. Eugene Mack from Scan the World Limited will offer a unique perspective as a startup company founder, providing a fresh take on today's subject.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. Today, I will share with you how I got to this stage, and it's a story about how tourism changed my life and how I founded a company to try and change tourism. And it's a story that takes us back to when I was 18 years old, dropping out of high school. A great start to any story. I still wanted to be useful, so I became a car mechanic. But then I quickly realized I wasn't made for 50 years of manual labor. So I went back to university and I studied engineering. But because I wasn't a good student, I was quickly suspended. But before that happened, I landed a civil engineering internship that took me from Toronto, Canada, to some place called Savannakhet in Laos, somewhere in Southeast Asia. So opposite side of where I grew up, culturally and geographically, but it is here where I met the happiest people I've ever seen in my life. They weren't interested in our materialistic pursuits or our metropolis way of life. They were just content and happy and satisfied with what they had. And that really, it was shocking to me, and it opened my eyes, made me realize how little I know about this world. So it put me on a mission to go and expand my horizon. So with that, I go back to Canada, I claw my way back into university, and from there it was straight A's. I went on to work for an aerospace company to do R&D work as well as aircraft design. But being a practical person, I quickly realized there was an issue. How can I design something without knowing how to use it? So the logical thing there was to learn how to use this piece of machine. So I've been a commercial pilot flying Boeing aircrafts for the past 10 years or so. And being an air crew, I got to spend a bit more time in the city or various cities and see a few more places. So while I was, let's say it's the 20th time I've been to Paris or New York, I'm going to skip the touristy attractions, and instead I like to follow the locals, to go where they shop, to see where they eat, to really seep into the cracks and crevices of a city, to seek out the genuine cultural flavors. And so while I was embarking on this mission I set out in Laos, I realized I really wanted to share this experience. I want to bottle it up, put it onto a mobile app or a browser, and just share it with the world. But I didn't know how. And then COVID happened. And this is the part of the story where technology intersected with tourism in my story. But before I talk about that, I'll talk about what other companies are doing in terms of technologies in tourism. So if you can get your phones and scan the QR code, it'll take you to YouTube, and it's 360 VR video. Maybe some of you have seen it. You'll be forced to, of course, watch an advertisement first. But after that, you'll find yourself on the streets of Osaka. And it's sort of like a VR goggles, but on your phone. You can move your phone around and be immersed in the sights and sounds of the streets of Japan. But the downside of this is you're like a child being towed along by your parents, unable to break free, to run into a store and try and explore. So that's the downside. But it is a lot easier. You just hold a 360 camera, walk along the street, and upload the video and show off your establishment. So if you want a bit more control, there is something called Matterport. So this one, you can control where you're going, and instead of looking at a video, you're looking at 360 pictures. So it's a bit more interactive as well. You can tap the information icons and learn more about it, but the navigation is a bit tricky, and you do require professional equipment to do a high quality results. Next, we have something homegrown called City in Time. You might see those signages around the city. You download the app, you scan the icon like a QR code, and from where you're standing, they use augmented reality to overlay a video of how Hong Kong used to look like from where you're standing maybe 100 years ago. So that's City in Time. Next, we have something from Google, which is an enhanced version of Google Earth / Google Maps. They take Google Street View footages as well as aerial footage to recreate a 3D model that's you can interact with lights and weather. It shows you the real-time weather as well as the traffic patterns. So that's Google Immersive View. And now I'll talk about my company. The objective is the company name, Scan the World, and we enable you to use your cell phone to turn videos into 3D scans with the help of AI and machine learning. So physical places have so much detail that I could tell a great story just by itself. But these features do not translate well onto a traditional website. So a lot of that is lost in the translation. So we enable users to do immersive storytelling that's interactive. So you can scan your store on a small scale, share the story of your store, allow users to interact with it. It could be to pick up a 3D model and purchase the physical product because it's e-commerce capable. And then on a larger scale, we scan the neighborhoods and do cultural preservation, but on the digital sense. So this is an example we did with the Jumbo Floating Restaurant. And this is our way of doing sustainability in tourism. We enable these hidden gems that to gain a global exposure. So we envision that every city would have a virtual portfolio, like a very immersive website that has their local retailers and local communities telling their story, but over the website that people can access while they're on the bus or on the train or before they go to bed. And then on the larger scale is the digital preservation. And that's how we want to promote sustainability in tourism. And that's my story of how tourism led me to technologies and led me to find this company to do sustainability. And There's more information if you want to learn more about our initiative or our mission. Name's Eugene. Thank you very much.
In the next talk, Mr. Ben Feng, Senior Associate Director of ITS from Chinacam Group, will share experiences from the company's frontline innovations.
Hello everyone, I'm Ben from Chinacam Group. Thanks for inviting me to this panel. So today I will share a bit more about our company and what we do. Firstly, we are also a property developer in Hong Kong, the same as Sino. And so what we are doing is to give a live environment to our customer for work or raise our next generation. This is our mission, to create the place with hearts. To co-create a sustainable future, we follow our 3 Ps as the guidance. This means that rather than focus on the profit first, we can adopt what we call a triple bottom line approach that gives even equal weight of social, economic, and environmental benefit. In other words, to balance the people, prosperity, and planet, the 3 P in everything that we do. Alright, in this age of digital transformation, technology has become an integrated part of our life. It has changed the way we shop and the way we interact and even the way we travel. So what we are doing is deeply connect everyone with technology. Here is some remarkable place I would like to share with you now. First, let's talk about the Central Market. Central Market is a lively place where people come to eat, shop, and enjoy cultural experience in a beautiful restored history building from the 1930s. The Central Market is a conservation of revitalization project under Urban Renewal Authority, and it is also under the new initiative of Conserving Central by the government. It creates a synergy while connect multi-tourist attraction like PMQ, Taekwondo. It is a great cultural journey for tourists to understand Hong Kong. Chinacam Group inject the concept of playground for all into the Central Market and turn this landmark that has been in operation from 1939 to 2003 into a ripening community hotspot that combine approachable, energetic, which not only preserve collective memory but also bring new experience to the community. We have hosted around 3,000 plus activities since launch, covering and engage a variety of segmentation of community, make Central Market truly playground for all, for people all walk of life to enjoy. And next, we'll share about the Nina Park. Nina Park is another playground for all project by Chinacam Group. First, it's located in Tsuen Wan and right next to Nina Mall and Nina Hotel, Tsuen Wan West. Nina Park is an urban park which the largest work fossil collection in Asia. All the fossil exhibits have a rich history, spanning millions of years alongside a variety of multimedia facilities. And advanced environmental friendly technology provide a unique and engaged entertainment experience from local and international visitors. There is around 100 plus wood fossils in the park. They are sustained for 2.6 to 5.3 million years without modernized technology, no cloud storage, no AI. This wood fossil carry its own million years history. We also keep sustainability in mind, and we have introduced multi-energy saving technology in our park. Technology also serves as an education and experience of sustainability of all our visitors. And next, we just recently completed an acquisition of the mega shopping mall D Park in Tsuen Wan. It's our third playground for all. With a total area of approximately 630,000 square feet, D Park will join Chinacam flagship mall, Nina Mall 1, 2, and other Nina Parks for examine the concept of Nina Hub synergies. Seizing the opportunity, Chinacam endeavours to contribute the largest integrated commercial, tourist, retail, entertainment, and cultural hubs in the New Territory West, attracting local and tourists from the mainland and overseas. Okay, other than this area, we can see we also take effort at the back end. One of our flagship headquarters in the Tsuen Wan, Nina Tower, we have replaced the entire cooling system with Hong Kong's first zero-carbon chiller plant, powered by AI. Although this building is still less than 30 years old, we move forward to along with the technology and incorporate with CLP. This project is expected to reduce the energy consumption of Nina Tower complex by some 50%, translated to 7,000 tons of annual carbon reduction, or equivalent of 300,000 trees. It helped to build a sustainable city for all our tourism. We also recognize the speed of the innovation and scale up new low-carbon technology is crucial to win the race of sustainability. For this reason, we also launched an accelerator program called CCG Accel in partnership with Hong Kong Science Park, which has already nurturing 2 cohorts of PropTech innovation startup. In this way, we aim to identify the cultural groundbreaking how low-carbon solutions that address challenge and boost our residents to the future change. In parallel, we have our CCG Hearts membership program to provide an online platform to connect our talent, customer, and even volunteer and tourists to join force to make a better future while enjoying shopping. At Chinacam Group, we are committed to leverage technology to enhance our retail and hospitality experience for visitors from everywhere. We believe technology can help us to deliver more personal, efficient, and sustainable service. From using data analytics to understand our customer needs, to implement green IT solutions, environment-friendly solutions, we are constantly exploring ways to use technology to drive sustainable growth. We are happy to be part of this journey, and let's make a difference together. Thank you.
In the ensuing panel discussion, industry leaders will share real-life experiences, further exploring how technology impacts sustainable tourism.
So I would like to start with our first question. Can you share example of how technology has an impact on sustainable practices or sustainable tourism? May I invite Melanie to start?
Sure. Well, first of all, it's very insightful sharing. I think today we talk a lot about sustainable tourism, but I think one thing where we also have to be acknowledged is that sustainable tourism is not just on the supply end, but also the demand is very important. So as a hospitality leader and also owning so many hotels, we also see a great positive wave that customers, guests, businesses, they do look for green hospitality at the moment, sustainable tourism. So the demand is actually driving, and that really helps us to look into what sort of technologies we can put into it. So for instance, I think we'll take a few examples. So the coral restoration is one of the projects. Why suddenly we care about the coral reefs? Why suddenly we look into working with startups to look into nurturing local reefs? It's actually one of the demand that's driving from the customers these days, that they don't just want to go to Hong Kong and shopping and see all the beautiful cities, but they also want to acknowledge the nature of Hong Kong as well. And there are guests that likes to do scuba diving. They want to see what's happening under Hong Kong biodiversity. And that's why we see that as a trend. And then we see that's an opportunity to work with startups as well. So as of today, the Coral Restoration Center we set up with Ocean Park, we only set up for a year and a half, but we received over 2,000 or even more visitors from all walks of life. This is one example. The other smaller example is the hotel practices. So we have a lot of hotels under Sino Group, and because of the latest plastic regulations as well, actually to our surprises, international visitors, for example, actually do appreciate the fact that we are doing our best to reduce plastic. So, for instance, in one of our hotels at the Fullerton Ocean Park Hotel, we installed a smart water dispenser. So when you actually trying to get the water, they will actually go to the corridor, they press the button, and then the machines also calculate how many plastic bottles it saves. And even though it's a very simple education message, but really helps to educate our customers as well, the importance of plastic reductions. So technology is also every small step counts as well. And most importantly is working with like-minded partners to drive the demand and also to help to actually enhance the sustainable tourism practices.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. Very insightful and comprehensive example. May I invite Ben to also express your idea?
Okay. Actually, we do a lot of technology in the front end and the back end. But I think to keep the sustainability tourism, we focus on the data, because we have to know how to measure, and then we can how to improve. And especially for the environmental figures such as the power consumption and even the waste management, all this data, we need to have the insight, and then we can do on it. And not just we say sustainability, but we have to make sure we have the control and make sure the number is going in a good way. In ChinaCam, we have set up a goal to reduce the carbon emission by 50% plus in the 2030. So we have a goal, we have the measurement tools of technology, and then we can carry forward all the together to keep it more sustainable.
Yeah, thank you so much for your example added to what we heard. Eugene, we are willing to hear your example.
Yeah, so to do sustainable tourism, we think to do with cultural preservation. Certain physical places may not be feasible, like the Jumbo, to do a restoration to keep it. So it's imperative that we at least have a digital version of it, so our younger generations can still see what used to be there. The other one is to unearth certain hidden gems by allowing them to have a global presence, to be a part of this virtual portfolio for the city. And the objective is to diversify the tourism portfolio, so we minimize all these hotspots and try and have a more diverse tourism profile, for the city.
Oh, thank you. Wow, really amazing. I learned a lot from so many different perspectives. Thank you so much. So let's move on to the next question. How do you measure the impact of technology on your sustainability goals? Eugene, let's start with you.
Okay, for us, we have KPIs. I mean, amount of users we can get in. We also do education as well with schools. So we can measure how many students we teach and how many of them re-enroll. And once we plug it into data visualization, then we can see a lot of these IoT data being overlaid onto these virtual models that we can educate the viewers. So all of these are very numerical approaches to how we measure the success.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. Very insightful. Let's go to Ben. Ben, yeah.
All right. As I said, we have a goal of the carbon emission reduction. I think that mostly we will focus on the figure, on data, and other than that, we also have a lot of learning and for the staff itself and also for our customer. And so we can just count all this together and see what our progress is. So this is all our progress to our goal.
Yeah, wonderful. And Melanie, please.
Yes, as a listed company, I think amongst panelists, we are one of the listed companies. listed companies these days has to comply with a lot of ESG requirements as well. So one thing is actually the transparency of the data is very important because it's not only to our customers but also to our shareholders as well. And especially nowadays, a lot of shareholders do also care about the company's ESG performances. So having transparency in data reporting, like Ben said, is very important, first of all. And secondly, another example is really to translate technology where applicable into operations. So for instance, aside from the core restorations, Sino Group also invest in a technology called Eco Bricks. So we found a startup. This startup starts with a small scale, and they actually upcycle plastics that otherwise go into landfill. And they can use the technology to upcycle the plastics and make it into bricks. And then what we did was across the whole Sino Group, the Fullerton Ocean Park Hotel, our Gold Coast Hotel, our shopping malls as well, we actually use these eco bricks as the footpath. But we realized that when people walk past, they're just like, oh, it's a brick, and then they just walk past. They have no idea what the education meaning. So it also starts with a very important education message. So we have the stand as well, placing next to the eco bricks, telling people, hey, you can scan the QR codes and also understand the story. Also did a video as well to talk about the stories. So I think having technology and to embrace in the operation is very important. But another thing is it's also about education. It's how we can educate those around us, how important technology is as well. And I think with videos, with the data, with AI, I think these are all very important factors that we can incorporate where applicable in our operations.
Yeah, thank you. So I see the core idea of education in all your examples with different and very diverse perspective, which shows that our role as an educational sector is very important. So I'd like to have the third question for Richard, since we are talking about education. So what challenges have you encountered in integrating sustainable practices through technology?
Thank you. So I think challenges, if we look at sustainability and adoption of technology as a whole for the entire industry, because obviously we have some excellent examples and case studies, the Sino and the other companies as well. However, let's say if the government were to make a policy that that's what you have to do, then I think it would be challenging for some companies, but some companies will not be so challenging, right? So because our industry is so different, right? So there are smaller companies, there are larger companies. So with that, I would like to just mention, for example, resource allocation, like access to resources. If you have a large companies, perhaps, maybe, you have more expertise in doing things, therefore it might be a bit easier for those companies. If you have a single unit business, it may be more challenging, for example, to comply with those policies. So I think that again the heterogeneity, the variety of players in the industry can be a challenge in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very insightful. And let's have the last question as a wrap-up question. So let's start with Ben. How do you envision the future of hotels or attractions involving with the advancement of technology focused on sustainability?
Actually, I think that to promote more sustainable tourism, so we will try to attract the people, because the people is now online all the time. They can get all the information. They come here to experience. I think to come across, we need to use technology to make sure they can get the experience and they can feel how sustainable come with the city, with the culture, all connect together. Because just like Nina Park, you need to come across to see the fossil, and you have to know about the history of all this. This is all you cannot go online. I bring you there. You can go into the park and walk through the whole park to experience that. I think this is the future.
Thank you so much. Very, very meaningful. Thank you. So Melanie, could you please?
I think one very key word, as Richard mentioned, is partnerships. even large company like us at Sino, we cannot do things by solo. We do have to require strong partnerships with all like-minded partners. So examples that we bring up today, the success factor is really about partnerships and aligning the sustainability vision and goals together. And that requires a lot of communications. A lot of projects, they don't just like, hey, we exchange name card and then let's start the project. It doesn't work like that in general. It does require a lot of back and forth communication as well. So I would suggest that everybody that's watching, listening, is really leverage every opportunities we can to look into exploring partnerships with like-minded partners, and that is very important. And I think secondly is that Hong Kong is actually, we need to appreciate that Hong Kong is actually a wonderful hub to nurture startups. There are so many great startups in Hong Kong. There are so many great startups in Greater Bay Area with the technology, great technology in mind as well. And I think partnerships and exploring these opportunities via platforms such as today is also very important. So hopefully Hong Kong has more platform like this for corporates to line up with like-minded partners, look into the startups as well to drive the sustainable tourism.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I totally agree with that. Like partnership, and today our event, thanks to our partners here, and we try to expand our partnership with other industries. So as your second point about the startup, and Eugene, what is your wrap-up point?
Yeah, so I think it's a concerted and collective effort from governmental all the way to the end user. And just to add a point, Hong Kong is geographically so advantageous to do something like this because a 5-hour flight any direction, you cover almost half the world's population, India, China, Indonesia. So I mean, what we're trying to do at our company is to make visualization the interface so end users can really understand the data because they're just general public to see what corporations are doing and how they could help, sort of echoing what Melanie was saying, how many bottles of water you save just by filling up your reusable bottle. So data like that, but on a larger scale to educate the public how to read this data, but overlaid onto something that's easy to understand. So.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. So thank you all for your compelling and wonderful discussion. Sorry that we have a short time. We love to stay here and ask you so many questions.